The first type of triggers I want to talk to you about are the external triggers. Now, they can be someone who looks like her. They can be someone or anyone that he looks at when he's with you because he's giving that attention as opposed to you and being present with you. That can really trigger you. His lack of presence, especially if you're married to an intimacy anorexic, can be a huge trigger for your heart because there he goes again. He's abandoning you. Okay. It could be an event in reality or in a movie. It could be a couple being close on a park bench. It could be a husband greeting a wife at the airport. It could be any of that. It could be a woman crying and you interpreting her crying with your pain. It could be a movie about cheating or pornography or even a joke about that stuff that causes you so much pain. It could be a Victoria's Secret poster in a mall. It could be a massage billboard. It could be a restaurant he took her to, or anything that reminds you of events that he took her to. It could be a hotel, a motel, a hotel chain. It could be a location. I know some ladies who won't go to certain cities or countries because that's where their husband acted out with other. Now, the external trigger is provoked by something on the outside of you. Okay, it's outside of you, and that's why we call it an external trigger. This thing is moving around, and you happen to enter the environment where it exists, okay? The external trigger is provoked by that stimulus, and they can happen anytime. You could literally go to the same location and not be triggered 3 out of 10 times and be triggered 7 out of 10, or reverse the next week, or not at all for a week, and then something else in that environment triggers you. Okay, again, triggers are symbols, and so you understand that, and so anything can happen anytime. You might not even know it is a trigger. Like going to a wedding could sound like a harmless event until the vows. And the saying of the vows, which are sacred and good, and for that couple so meaningful, but for you, they bring up pain of how yours were broken. So that could be a trigger. Even you could be unaware of going to a family event and having something like that happen. You could keep a log of them as a way for you to gain insight into their meaning or what internal triggers are happening inside of you, which we'll talk about in a little bit, during an external trigger. Okay, so let's be clear. External triggers are people, places, things, events, scenes that are external of you that you did not create, that you're not responsible for. But as you walk into that environment, it brings back the symbol of your betrayal, your pain, his absence, his behavior, okay? You could be in the gym and someone lusting after you could trigger you, okay? External triggers are unlimited as far as variety, and they're going to be unique to you. And as you learn what these external triggers are, it's really good to kind of take those notes, like I said, so that you can learn what those are, those cues are for you. The second type of trigger that I want to share with you is the internal trigger. It's what happens in you, okay? This can happen with or without an external trigger. An internal trigger doesn't need a stimulus, although if a stimulus is happening, oftentimes you'll be triggered inside as well, okay? So this can happen without an event, and this gets really where you don't seem like you have any control over it. An internal trigger can be what you feel as a result of an event or just having a feeling. Sometimes it can be normal grief even, and you're triggered into some kind of thought, feeling, or belief. Even if you believe that you're worthless or you believe something that may or may not be true, that could trigger you. These could be feelings, and feelings can trigger you. Let me go through some that I hear often from ladies who are partners of intimacy anorexic sex addicts and those who've committed infidelity. These are feelings. And as I'm speaking them, you might even want to close your eyes. And as you hear the word, if the word causes you some kind of movement, I'm going to encourage you to take notes, to write it down. Because that word may be a trigger for you because of this event. And honestly, it might be a word that's been a trigger for you throughout your life. And this event just highlights it. Either way, so close your eyes for a minute and just listen to me go through these words. And if any of these words trigger you, I want you to stop and write it down. okay, then later you can decide if this trigger, emotional trigger, is because of just what has happened to you, or does this kind of resonate with some family of origin or previous relationship issues that also are coming into your life? Okay, so here's a feeling. Close your eyes. Not enough. Betrayed. Compared. Worthless. Rejected. Abandoned. Disrespected. Anxious. Afraid. And you might have thoughts of, he might do it again. That uneasiness that you're not safe. So unsafe could be a feeling. Okay? Now these feelings, you can open your eyes now. These feelings are very strong and also visceral, not cognitive. Now this is really important. I wrote a book called Emotional Fitness, and if feelings are something you want to develop, it's a great book. But in there, I talk about feelings are not cognitions. They are not thoughts. And so many women, they tend to have a feeling, and you got to manage that at a visceral level, at a feeling level. Okay? This is your being reacting. This isn't your computer doing a computation. It's your being impacted by emotions. And so we'll talk more about that later, but this is real. Now, you can just randomly feel these things and be triggered. You could be going through a great day. Your husband may be doing his sobriety perfectly. You might be having a good life. And you can have a feeling that can trigger you. You can have something internally out of the blue hit you without an external stimulus, and that's normal. You're not crazy. You're not broken. This is part of your healing. Again, be kind and patient to yourself. And to be fair, this trauma if it had not happened to you, you would not be having these feelings to trigger. If this car accident didn't happen, you wouldn't be going to physical therapy. You wouldn't be having limitations with range of movement. Okay? You, again, did not cause this. Now, you can feel overtaken with any of these random emotions, like a flood. And all of a sudden you're feeling enraged, or you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling sad, or you're feeling alone. All of those can happen to you at a second with no notice, and that would be normal. Now, I'd probably write those down, especially if they stay consistent, because then it might be giving you a theme. It might be telling you how to heal. But it's important that you let yourself identify what these feelings are. Now, this is different than grief, because grief will just kind of happen in waves. This is like boom, boom, boom. Okay? And it doesn't necessarily get softer like grief does. Okay? I've had many women report in the early stages of recovery of this happening quite a bit. Even on a good day, a husband's doing good, and boom, they can still have an internal trigger. Now, we're going to talk more about what to do with triggers further along. Okay, right now we're just identifying them. However, being triggered is a normal response to the trauma that you've been through. Learning to experience, to investigate, to manage triggers can make a huge difference in your journey of recovery. And this is going to be some of the hard work that you're going to have to do. Is being able to figure out what is going on. What can I learn here? How can I manage this? And I'm going to give you so many tools. You're going to be able to maneuver through this much more intelligently after we spend our time together. But again, I want to normalize. This is normal that you have internal triggers, that you have external triggers.